When you watch a big time match and you see a big backhand, you say, holy mackerel, look at that backhand. But what you don't see are the years and years of work in developing that strong foundation that is needed to maintain the same technique each and every time.
Now let's look at how we build a ballistic backhand from the ground up, beginning with the athletic foundation. Because tennis is a sport based on movement and strokes, you must establish a body position that provides quickness, balance, agility, and power. The athletic foundation is the core body position for all movement and stroke, and consists of three basic aspects. When you're down in position and ready to react, your feet should be spread between 1.5 to 2 shoulder widths apart. This wider stance allows you to comfortably lower your body to the desired athletic height. Next, lower your hips by bending your knees, which will position your center of gravity for more explosive quickness and increased power in your stroke. The final aspect incorporates strong back posture. Establishing and maintaining perfect back posture throughout movement and stroke. With a wider footwork base, a lower hip position, and strong back posture, you create the athletic foundation. Your athletic height in this position should be approximately 1 foot lower than your standing height.
I thought I was going to learn the ballistic backhand. Certainly you are, but you're first going to learn the importance of the ready position, footwork, and the foundation. And you know why? Until you have that down pat, the ballistic backhand will just be a fantasy.
To master the art of movement, you must have an understanding of timing and rhythm, know where to correctly position yourself on recovery for each shot selection, and develop your movement technique to maximum efficiency. Think of timing and rhythm as it applies to dancing. Good dancers skillfully move to the beat of the music. So we could say their timing and rhythm is in sync with the music. In tennis, the timing and rhythm of your movement works in sync to the speed of the ball as it travels back and forth in point play. With rally speeds as fast as they are today, the ball travels from one end of the court to the other in less than 2 seconds. That means you must intensely work to keep up with the pace. Let's take a closer look at each stage of the movement process. Stage 1, ready to react. In stage 1 of the movement process, you must be prepared and ready to react when the opponent makes contact with the ball. As the ball is traveling up off the bounce, your intensity should build to a peak as you make yourself light on your feet, so at contact your reaction skills are sharp. Stage 2, read and react. As your opponent makes contact with the ball, your eyes should be focused on making an accurate read of where the ball is going, and instantaneously you explosively react into action. Remember, you have less than a second to read and react to your opponent's shot.
Pick up the ball a split second too late, as most people do. What do I mean by that? Letting the ball bounce on your side and then starting to move for the ball. Forget it. You'll be lucky to push the ball back. Ballistic backhand, no way possible. Why? Without position and a strong foundation, you don't have a chance.
Stage 3, footwork and preparation. You've completed stage 2, and you're now tracking down the ball. Your footwork should be quick and fluid while you maintain your athletic height. By the time the ball bounces on your side, you should be prepared and ready to execute. Stage 4. Set up and execute. As the ball bounces on your side, you are prepared and able to make any last-second adjustments for a bad bounce. If there is time, you'll set up a strong hitting stance, and if not, you'll adjust your footwork for hitting the shot on the run.
Learn how to pick up the ball sooner. The majority of players pick up the ball when it bounces on their side. Fairly good players as it crosses the net. Darn good players pick it up when it leaves the opponent's racket. The best players in the world know exactly where that ball is going to come back from the ball they hit.
Stage 5. Recover. As you reach the follow-through of your stroke, you should begin your recovery move. You will recover to a position based on the shot selection you chose. The time you have to recover will depend on how hard you hit the shot. Make every effort to fully recover your court position by the time the ball bounces on the opponent's side. If not, you'll leave open court for your opponent.
Starting to come into his own, and with an athlete like this who's so talented, you just got to make sure that he goes for his maximum all the time, because things just come too easy. Instead of taking an extra step, he can chop a ball back. And so what you got to make sure when you have a talented athlete like that, don't let him become lazy with his feet because he's got tremendous hands. You can't accept that. You got to make him utilize his feet as well. You want him to hit his shots, but you don't want him to become lazy.
Now let's review. Stage 1. Ready to react. As the ball travels up off the bounce to your opponent, your intensity builds as you anticipate reaction. Stage 2. Read and react. As the opponent makes contact, you're focused on reading where the ball is going, and at the same time you explode into action. Stage 3. Footwork and preparation. Using crossover and shuffle footwork, you are maintaining your foundation as you move, trying to be smooth and fluid, yet very quick. Stage 4. Set up and execute. By the time the ball has bounced on your side, you should be set up and prepared to fire. For more difficult balls, your feet should adjust to hit on the run. Stage 5. Recover. As you follow through on the stroke, you begin making a strong recovery move back into position. By the time the ball bounces on the opponent's side, you are back into position and are ready to start the process over again.
Turn the tape off. That's enough. Go out and apply what you've just learned. In a week or so, you'll come back and we'll turn the power back on. Movement, picking up the ball a little earlier, that's enough for right now.
Now that you have an understanding for timing and rhythm, let's take a closer look at court positioning.
Let's talk about baseline position. If you're strong, you have good movement, and you can consolidate the strokes, which means make them a little bit more compact, and make early contact, it puts great fear into the opponent because of a simple fact. The sooner she hits the ball, the sooner the ball gets back to the opponent's side. This means the opponent, when they're just slightly out of position and they make a little hesitancy in their stroke and hit a defensive ball or put one that maybe hangs up in the air a little bit, this student is going to pounce on it. And not only pounce on it, they're coming to the net right behind it.
Learning to play closer to the baseline and even from inside the baseline will add to the overall threat of your ballistic backhand. Opponents will crumble under the constant pressure as you're able to capitalize on every opportunity. Now let's look at how you position in the court in terms of left and right, based on the direction of your shot. To summarize what we explained in great detail in Winning with Your Game Part 1, the objective on recovery is for you to position halfway between your opponent's best possible shots. As this graphic illustrates, when you hit to shot selection 1, you should move to recovery position 1. When you choose to hit to shot selection 2, you find recovery position 2. And you can see when you hit down the line to shot selection 3, you must cover a much greater distance to reach recovery position 3 in time. Understanding how your shot selection affects your court position will help you position correctly and create more offensive opportunities.
A lot of players hit fabulous shots and they sort of stay there and say, wow, I hit a heck of a shot. It's not good enough. The opponents are bigger and stronger and more athletic on the other side. They're going to get that ball back. But they may only get the ball back and have some defensive element of their return. You have to jump on it. You have to focus. You have to pick up the ball in a split second. Get to it a split second sooner. Why? Catch the opponent out of position, hit the ball at a little higher height, and still maintain complete control.
The final category under the art of movement is correct technique. Refining your movement skills into the most efficient habits will make you quicker at covering the court and more consistent and powerful in your strokes. We know that a strong foundation is the body position that enables you to be quick and powerful, yet look like you're effortlessly gliding across the court. The foundation also is the key to a powerful yet controlled stroke.
It all boils down to movement and feet. You move quickly, you react quickly, your upper body is smooth. No jumping around, no tilting of the shoulders, the head is silent.
Now let's explore the techniques for taking your foundation and most efficiently putting it into motion. The key to an explosive first step reaction is the drop step and drive technique. From the wider footwork base of your strong foundation, the left foot slides underneath the body as the weight shifts off the right foot. Using the weight of your body for traction, the left foot drives your body from at rest into motion. The drop step technique is critical to explosive reaction time, especially when playing on more slippery surfaces, such as clay and grass. Remember, from a wider base, drop step and drive into action.
A split second to react from the time the ball leaves your opponent's racket until the time it reaches you. That's why the ready position, reaction, and the foundation is so necessary.
For you to become quicker on your feet and at the same time achieve that smooth gliding effect as you move, you must maintain your low-to-the-ground foundation and become very fluid and skilled in the footwork patterns. Each pattern has a specific application. The crossover pattern is a natural progression of the first step reaction when using the drop step and drive technique. If the ball is more than a few steps away from you, you should continue your crossover footwork for acceleration. And as you close in on position, you can fall into a shuffle pattern. The shuffle pattern consists of what's called a kick step because the feet often come together and kick each other as you move. Shuffle footwork should be used mostly for covering shorter distances, let's say 1 or 2 steps to your left or right. The cross behind step you'll find most efficient when you have to move to your left or right and backwards at the same time. Adjustment steps are a signature among great players. You'll hear 3 or 4 quick squeaks on the hard courts. Those are the tiny stutter steps they use to adjust and set up their feet for the stroke. You should look at the length of your strides or steps that you take when trying to quickly accelerate. The longer your strides, the slower you will accelerate. Big steps may in fact cover more ground, but are slower at getting you up to speed. Think of a 10-speed bicycle and how slow it would be to start a race in 10th gear. Long strides are like a 10th gear. You want to be in first gear. First gear allows you to quickly accelerate up to speed with your feet pumping very quickly. First gear footwork is very similar. Shorter but more powerful strides with your feet pumping quickly for acceleration. And notice how the best players use only the balls of their feet when they're accelerating. Their heels never touch the ground. Racket preparation refers to the positioning of your racket prior to taking a backswing. It is very important you realize that how you prepare your racket affects your movement and hitting stances. You should get into the habit of keeping your racket hand positioned in front of your body as your feet adjust and set up for the stroke. That means your racket must be correctly prepared prior to the ball bouncing on your side. Preparing this way will help you establish the best hitting stance for each situation. There are 3 different types of hitting stances: the open, the neutral, and the closed. Let's use the face of a clock to better understand each stance. On a right-handed backhand, the open stance has the left foot at the center of the clock and the right foot near 3 o'clock. This stance is commonly used by two-handed backhands and occasionally by one-handers, especially on return of serve, when reaction time is most limited. The open stance has become a primary stance in today's fast-paced game. You must learn to hit effectively from this stance. The neutral stance positions the left foot at the center of the clock, but now the right foot drives forward towards 12 o'clock. This stance is predominant for both one-handed and two-handed backhands, providing the best balance and power to your stroke. The neutral stance generates ballistic power by allowing you to transfer your weight in the same direction as your shot. The closed stance again has the left foot at the center of the clock, but the right foot takes the last step towards 9 o'clock. This stance creates problems such as loss of power, poor balance, and limited shot options for all two-handed backhands. However, one-handed backhands commonly execute from a closed stance and can be quite effective because the one-handed backhand does not rely on the full rotation of the body to generate its power. Two-handed backhands can learn to avoid the closed stance through better preparation. There will be various situations where you'll have to execute your stroke while on the move because there's no time for you to set up. Very fluid players execute well from these extreme situations because they stay low and smooth with their foundation. Some players prefer to continue their tiny adjustment steps all the way through the stroke. Others will hit from an open stance and add an additional braking step for recovery. When playing on clay courts, it's preferable to stay low and slide into the open stance, especially for two-handed backhands. When caught in a closed stance, you should add a braking step to help you complete your body rotation for the stroke and begin recovery. When hitting on the dead run, try to set up your back foot to drive your power forward through the shot, allowing your front leg to cross over. On recovery, the footwork patterns are the very same as the ones used traveling to the ball. However, there's a greater emphasis placed on the positioning of your shoulders during the recovery move. You'll often see great players begin to recover as they stroke. They shift their lower body outward to stop their momentum and reposition their shoulders inward. This redirects their momentum for recovery. You should make every effort to have your shoulders facing towards the net as you recover, at least until the opponent makes contact. This will help you avoid getting wrong-footed, as well as allow you to reverse directions if the opponent hits behind you.
movement and preparation is essential. And Alexandra has spent the last 3 or 4 weeks in our IPI, our Development Center for Strength and Agility, and her footwork has improved twofold. And as she gets faster, she's going to become more agile, and she's going to be able to even do more. But in order to hit ballistic, you got to hit ballistic when you're at a position, not just when you're in position. And that's what makes you a potential champion. And that's what I'm hoping to be able to achieve with Alexandra.